So this is going to be a musical analysis of the main title theme, which is the first movement from John Williams' Star Wars Suite, dating back to 1977. It obviously contains a lot of music from the movie, like the central opening theme, which is in itself an ABA form, comprised of two themes, the primary and the secondary theme. There's also this theme, which I assume represents the rebellion in some shape or form. It uses the first 5 notes of the blues scale and is harmonized in major triads moving in parallel. There's also this menacing ostinato, which again I assume probably represents the Empire. There's also Leia's theme. And in the closing bars, there's a brief passage from the throne room music from the ending of A New Hope. This kind of musical form, where a central thematic block alternates with various different kinds of sections, has its precedent in the classical tradition, in the form of the rondo. The formal outline can be described as A, B, A, C, A, D, and so on, wherein A represents the 2 primary themes. The first 3 introductory bars start out with a huge B-flat major triad spread out across the whole orchestra, establishing the tonic chord. What immediately follows is a fanfare in the brass section, playing a B-flat sus4 arpeggio, arpeggiated in such a way that it brings out the 4th stack, F, B-flat, E-flat. The trombones begin, and the trumpets enter in canonically, as in a canon, 1 beat later, meaning they're playing the same stuff an octave higher for a brief moment. Another 4th is then added on top of the stack, making F, B-flat, E-flat, A-flat. To me, 4th stacks sound sort of like a signal, like a hunting horn or something. John Williams uses them to build tension and anticipation before the big reveal of the main theme. He does something similar in the Superman March, but in a more drawn-out way. Check out that analysis if you're interested. At the end of measure 3, most instruments play an F for the big 5-to-1 cadence to B-flat major. That little scale glissando at the end contains a D-flat for some reason. Tiny detail. The main theme is very simple and clear-cut. The first 5 notes of the B-flat major scale. It's actually hugely important how those pitches are spread out across different octaves. If you put all of those pitches in the same range, you'd end up with something rather more mundane. Having that B-flat be octave displaced sends the melody soaring. For the most part, during this primary theme, there's a 2-chord alternation going on between the B-flat major triad and a chord with the notes F, B-flat, E-flat, A-flat, that 4th stack which we saw before. One might label this F minor 11 and technically not be incorrect, but I don't really perceive it as a minor chord. I see it more as a 4th stack and as a tense counterpart to the tonic triad, with more or less dominant function. It's obviously not an actual dominant because it doesn't have a leading tone. Anyway, what the A-flat does indicate is that we're in the B-flat mixolydian mode. The way these chords rhythmically unfold, though, is the actual unsung hero here. Syncopation and lots of triplets provide a dynamic, groovy background to the more or less straightforward melody, moving mostly in whole and half notes. In measure 7, we have some new chords for that concluding triplet motif. These melody notes, E-flat, D, and C, are harmonized as the 5th of a major triad, giving us A-flat, G, and F major. The important chords here are A-flat major and F major. I see the G more as a chromatic changing tone type of thing on the offbeat. A-flat major is the mixolydian 7 chord, F major is the 5 from the regular B-flat Ionian mode. Mixing and matching chords from different modes with the same root, i.e. parallel modes, is called modal interchange or borrowed chords. The F major chord prepares the repetition of this primary theme, but this time with a variation in the accompaniment. The second time round, we're mostly in the B-flat Ionian key rather than Mixolydian. And there's a more active bass line with a lot of stepwise motion in the basses, meaning the tuba and low strings. It's like a counter melody in the bass region. The high woodwinds and strings are playing the pedal note B-flat with a little changing note A, as in a trill. Now let's take a look at the secondary theme of this main thematic complex. It's in the F Mixolydian key, and it utilizes a chord progression that I'll label Mixolydian pedal point 7-1. Bear with me, it's much more simple than that disgusting name I just gave it would suggest. Take the Mixolydian scale, put the root in the bass, and alternate the 7 and 1 chords. Voila, that's all it is. Michael Jackson based whole songs on this chord progression. If we take a look at the melody, we can see that it targets chord tones on beat 1. We have G, E flat, B flat of the E flat major triad, and then when the F comes around, those triadic chord tones are also targeted. Measure 7 of this 8-bar unit also contains modal interchange in the form of the flat 6 chord from the F minor key. The chord progression for these 2 bars, it goes like this: D flat major, F major, E flat major over F, and F major. There are some pretty ornamental lines in the high woodwinds and piano, playing alternately descending and ascending 4th stacks mostly. This theme is also instantly reiterated. The repetition of this theme is strongly modified. First reharmonized, then there's a scalar idea landing on the F pitch, preparing a fairly drawn-out cadence back to the B-flat major key for the return of the primary theme. The reharmonization features the chords E-flat major, A-flat major over C, F7 sus4, and F major. Notice the inner movement within these chords, ascending in stepwise motion. And this measure is particularly interesting. We have the dissonant chromatic passing tone B natural, and it leads into the major third on beat 3. The second half of the secondary theme is different this time. There's a descending scale in diatonic thirds, and this scale is B-flat minor, landing on the F note. The basses are playing a line in contrary motion, but for some reason John Williams chose the D natural instead of the D flat. Maybe he preferred the sound of the resulting diminished chord. Then there's a long drawn-out cadence with various F sus chords, ultimately ending in a 2-5-1 cadence back to the key of B-flat major for the recapitulation of the primary theme. We're back in the B-flat Mixolydian key, but actually John Williams hops back and forth between the Ionian and Mixolydian modes for every chord change, using Ionian for the B-flat major 7 chords and Mixolydian for all the other chords. This time there are some embellishing scale runs in the high woodwinds with some chromatics here and there. For the last iteration of the primary theme, John Williams layers all the pomp. We have the pedal note B-flat in the high woodwinds. The trumpets are playing a double trill figuration in thirds, playing D and F over the B flat major 7 chords, C and E flat over the others, plus the chromatic neighboring notes. All of this concludes with the triplet figure, slightly modified again, landing on F major. There's one final conclusive melody in F major. We have an ostinato-like pattern here throughout all the instrument groups, playing an F major add sharp 4 arpeggio. The sharp 4 is a bit of an ominous, foreboding note. This leads into 6 measures of what I'd call the sus-type harmonies. What are sus chords? Briefly put, sus chords are chords that contain no third, but the 2 or 4 or both instead of the third. Sus chords come in different shapes and sizes. We have the basic 3-note sus chords, the sus4 and sus2, and since sus chord traditionally have dominant function, they're often Mixolydian scale derived. Basically, you can put all the Mixolydian notes into the chord. As long as the third is missing, it's technically a sus chord. Like this chord, for example, with 6 notes. So we have various F sus chords here, and the highest note is outlining some of the perfect fourth stacks available in the chord. There's a certain pattern, goes down, up, B flat, F, E flat, B flat, and then as the A flat is reached, the root note changes to B flat. The minor third is thus avoided, staying in that sus chord quality. The next fourth on top would be D flat, but John Williams breaks with the pattern here, going to the C instead of the minor third. Williams sticks to the B flat sus color for the next 3 measures, with a sustained A flat major over B flat chord, while the melody plays a sequential pattern rising up the B flat Mixolydian scale. These 3 measures lead into an ominous set of polychords, of intrigue and looming danger. More often than not, when people say polychords, what they actually mean is bichords, which is when you have one chord on top and one below. In this case, we have one major triad on top, C major, and changing ones on the bottom. This can be clearly seen in the divided string section, with the violins playing a C major arpeggio and the violas and cellos playing a different triadic arpeggio below. The 3 chords are C major over D flat major, C major over A major, C major over E augmented. C major and D flat major have no common notes, whereas the other 2 chords do. E augmented and C major even have 2 common notes, the E and the C. At this point, we're nearing the end of the chunk of the piece that I've analyzed so far. The last bichord, C major over E augmented, basically amounts to the C major flat 6 chord. Williams retains this color over the next several measures, creating a mysterious texture where the celesta arpeggiates said C major flat 6 chord in a repetitive 1-measure pattern. The celesta is basically a low glockenspiel operated with a keyboard mechanism. The piccolo flute sits in the next bar with an enchanting little melody centered around the B flat. If we look at all the pitches present, including the piccolo melody, we get a 6-note scale with the notes F, G, A flat, B flat, C and E. It doesn't make sense to me here to claim that any one of these notes is the root note. Think of the whole scale more as a splash of paint rather than as a hierarchy of more or less important or fundamental notes. The letter D is missing from the scale. If there was D flat, one could label this parent scale F harmonic minor. If there was a natural D, it would be F melodic minor.